Welcome back. In this segment, Business Minds will be presenting world business trends, reviews from the world economy, and new products launching to the market.
Well, June, this week Kenya was on display.
On display, who is selling Kenya, or is any Kenyan willing to be sold?
Don't worry yourself, but no one will buy you anyway. Kenya held its second annual Trade Week Expo. It was all glitzy on the display and the Big Four agenda on the debate, on the trends.
The Kenya International Convention Center was the home for the second Kenya's Trade Week. The trade annual event showcases key export products by the country, as well as highlighting key issues affecting trade and industrialization in the country. Themed Powering Kenya's Big Four agenda through trade, the long week affair debated on measures that Kenya can undertake in order to reduce her trade deficit. As per the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, Kenya's trade deficit in the 2016-2017 financial year stood at approximately $11.3 billion. Granulated, this arises from exports of $59.4 billion as against imports of 1.7 trillion shillings. This year, local and international exhibitors put their best foot forward to display their wares. Manufacturers and consumers, including informal traders, freely interacted and exchanged ideas. The Trade Week Bonanza brings excitement and sense of joy to traders. Anne Mora, a local exhibitor in the leather industry, could not hide her joy.
Sanabora Design House is a company that does leather work and textile products. I've been able to get exposure. People are coming around and appreciating what we do. They're appreciating local products, which is a very good impact to Kenya. We are able to sell our products locally and also export markets. We've been doing the Trade Week and we've been having exhibitions like every time we are here at KICC doing the same events all over.
The leather industry in Kenya is a key driver of the manufacturing agenda, with government setting aside land to develop a leather industrial park that will see the country move away from exporting semi-processed leather to exporting finished leather product. Traders from all walks of life were out to maximize their chances and opportunities during the event. From textile industry, arts and culture, manufacturing, food and beverages, construction, jua kali to industry regulatory bodies, all were out to sell their agenda. Led by the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization, the government through the State Department of Export Promotion Council ensured the event was a success and met its objectives. Kenya's export trade volume is estimated to be worth over 600 billion Kenya shillings. During the event, the country launched the National Trade Policy, which seeks to streamline the export and import services.
A key day for Kenya as we launch our strategic documents and the mark of identity which builds, grows, markets Kenyan brands.
Kenya intends to use trade as the backbone driver for its Big Four agenda, which will see the country achieve a 25% export quota yearly target. This agenda is centered on food security, manufacturing, universal healthcare and affordable housing. The country's lead export includes horticultural products, tea, coffee, petroleum products, cement, pyrethrum and sisal. The country is also poised to start exporting crude oil. Kenya trade industry is one of the leading job creators in the country. This is driven by the manufacturing sector that employs 1.5 million Kenyans.
The main theme of this Trade Week is powering the Big Four agenda through trade. Basically, we are here to showcase the various kind of products that Kenyans are actually able to manufacture, the different kind of innovations, and how trade can actually power the Big Four agenda. And as you know that you cannot manufacture any products without actually, trading, whether you are trading domestically or even exporting. So basically, we are here basically to show the kind of products that we are, the Kenyans are able to produce and even export even to the international market.
In recent past, the country's image was tainted with trade in contraband and counterfeit goods. Products worth billions of shillings have since been seized and destroyed. Dr. John Akoten is from the Anti-Counterfeit Agency.
Illicit goods can actually affect, the development of this country, issues about trade and so on. In terms of the figures, we don't have the figures, but we have figures globally where we have, in terms of counterfeiting and pirated goods, we have around $1.8 trillion worth of counterfeit and pirated goods. But here in Kenya, the figures sometimes range between around 30 billion Kenya shillings, which has actually been, these are research from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, but as an agency, we intend to carry out a research this year to determine the level and the magnitude of counterfeiting in the country. Illicit trade actually cuts across the different ministries, different departments, and includes issues about counterfeiting, issues about piracy, issues about uncustomed goods, substandard goods, and so on. And therefore, we have come together as part of the anti-illicit trade collaboration kind of network to combat these issues of illicit trade. So we have the Kenya Revenue Authority, we have the Anti-Counterfeit Agency, we have the Kenya Bureau of Standards, we have the Farmers and Poison Board, KIPI, that's Kenya Industrial Property Institute, and and even public health, including even the police. So all of us, we have come together under the umbrella of the multi-agency so that we'll be able to deal with issues of illicit trade.
Globally, counterfeiting and piracy are projected to drain $4.2 trillion from the world economy and put 5.4 million legitimate jobs at risk by 2022. Despite this challenge, Kenya's economy is projected to expand by 6.2% this year, as per the Central Bank of Kenya findings. These projections are based on the economy's performance in the first quarter, a stronger agriculture sector, and a jump in tourist forward bookings. Generally, the East African economy is also projected to expand by 5.7% in the first quarter as farming, which accounts for close to a third of output have recovered from a drought. With the trade week coming to a close, the country wishes to use the lessons, highlights, and the achievements from the efforts to power its national agenda as anchored in the Expo theme.
Welcome back. June, what is the role of education in modeling a business?
Well, I would say there is little or no value at all. We witness billionaires who have little or no education.
You may be wrong, you may be right. Next, we get to answer the same from the perspective of a research scholar in our conversation with Business Minds. Colonial governments brought education into Africa. Today, education is considered a key factor into a successful life. So what is the role of education into running a successful business? We delve into the matter with Dr. Washington Okeyo's perspective. So, Dr. what is the role of education in running a successful business?
Education prepares a business owner or a potential business owner in terms of providing the necessary skills, in terms of providing the know-how, in terms of providing the knowledge on how to run the business. Starting a business in the first place requires that somebody understands the products. And most businesses have products that they have in mind. Most small businesses have products that they have in mind. But then having a product alone is not enough. You need to be able to link the product to the consumer or to the customer, and then also to the market. So there are those two other areas, market and the consumer. And that is where education comes in. In terms of management, education comes in very handy because running a business requires that you, for example, manage people. There's the issue of innovation. No business can grow without innovation. And we have examples of old businesses, old big businesses, not just small businesses, that died because they could not innovate. We have examples of an American company like IBM. We also have an example of Kodak. Some of these companies, they did not innovate and did not change with time. And therefore, other companies which came into being overtook them, and most of these companies became irrelevant. Most of them died. But that is where the issue of education and business really comes in. In terms of financial management is a technical issue which somebody has to formally learn the process of accounting for money and learning how to invest that money and so on and so forth. So if somebody is running a business and he doesn't have the knowledge or know-how on how to manage the finances, most likely they will not even be able to separate things like capital and what you need to run the business, working capital, and they'll not be able to separate the expenses from the income. They'll all be mixed up, and a business really requires that somebody is very systematic and very orderly in the way the finances are managed.
Research plays a critical role in the success of every business. Do you think the higher learning institution should venture into research, especially on the SME sector, in order to grow them into mid-sized companies?
Let me start by saying that starting a business is like venturing into the unknown. And when you are venturing into the unknown, you don't know what you're going to find. And therefore, that is where research comes in, because research will help you find out what are the factors surrounding the business.
So Dr. Washington Okeo, what seems to be ailing the SMEs in Africa?
A number of environmental factors come into play in the operations and management of SMEs. One of the most important ones is the economic environment. The economic environment, we know, can be very hostile, and usually it is completely uncontrollable by the businesses that operate within that economic environment. So when the economies are performing poorly, then, and as usually most African economies are performing very poorly due to various reasons, then you find that SMEs start to struggle. The other issue which also affects the SMEs and their management and growth is availability of finances. Finance is a very important factor in running a business, as we all know, and its accessibility, its cost, its availability are three important issues that require to be managed so that SMEs can be able to access the finances in the first place, and then even if they're able to access them, can be able to afford them. The issues of interest rates for these finances come into play. Technology is a business enabler, and all businesses, including the big ones, require technology. But the big businesses are able to access technology because they have what we call economies of scale. SMEs have no economies of scale, or their economies of scale are very low, and therefore where technology is required in their businesses, they struggle. So it is very, very important that research is done so that one knows what is likely to affect the business and the best ways of doing the business.
Thank you so much, Dr. Washington Okeo. That was very insightful, and I believe we need such conversation in order to grow our SMEs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rading. I appreciate the interview.
It seems there are more factors than education that aid in the success of a business. That was quite insightful.
I can't imagine how we limit education to success. Well, I believe education is just a key. Once inside, other factors come into play.
Absolutely. That's all we had for this week's episode.
For comments or to feature in our show, do not hesitate to contact us on the contact appearing on your screen. We've been your host, Rading Biko.
And I am June Musioka. Until next time,
keep minding your business.